93.5 CHMR-FM. You guys are tuned into Varsity Life. Out here on a fantastic December 22nd. Here in the booth, we got our Christmas music playing. It's the rap variety. Don't judge us. I'm joined here today with my fantastic guest, none other than local swimmer, rookie sensation for the Seahawks, Owen Daly. Owen, how you doing, my man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed when we were walking in here, but we're pretty much the only people on campus right now.
Yeah, it's a ghost town after finals, I feel like.
There's literally no one out there.
I know. Yeah, I was at the field house yesterday doing a workout, and like it's crazy to see the change of the amount of people in the field house compared to when school's actually on the go during the semester.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, marks are coming out today, tomorrow, one of these days. I forgot to take a look.
Yeah, no, I think someone told me. I think it was Wood told me it was Wednesday.
Wednesday.
But yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I check it, to be honest. Is it self-service?
Self-service, I do believe you can go on there. I should note very quickly that our guest hosts, my co-host here on the show, Ryan Wood, won't be able to make it to the show today. Getting caught up with whatever he has getting caught up with. I don't ask too many questions.
Sleeping.
Who knows? I don't like to speculate, but we'll see. Hopefully Ryan will be able to come on the show another time, but nevertheless, it's two of us, and we're here to have fun. We're here to talk Seahawks swimming, for all you that don't know. We also, it's a ritual here on the show, Owen. We like to talk about the weather in our first little segment. So right. I'm just going to give you guys a little prognosis for our days leading up to Christmas, which, I wish I could have good news. You guys obviously are listening to Eddie Shear out there, or the other guy from CBC. I don't remember his name.
Ryan Snodden.
Ryan Snodden. How could I forget? Come on,
yeah,
Theo. I'm an NTV kind of guy, that's all. Anyway, they have the big news. I just kind of look off what they say. So this is my rant to you guys. Today is going to be cold because it was cold coming in here, and it's not going to get much warmer. High of -1, mainly cloudy. And then the rest of the week, up until basically Christmas, is going to be the same. Christmas Eve, sunny, bit of clouds, -1. But then if you had hopes for a white Christmas, Owen, not happening. High of +4 and showers on Thursday.
Oh, man, it's gross.
And then Boxing Day, it gets even warmer. Windy, high of +6, periods of rain. And then, that's Friday. Hopefully leading into our New Year's, at least, we can have a bit of snow. But it's not looking good for all of our snow lovers out there.
Yeah, no, I generally hate the snow, but I like to see some on the ground for Christmas.
There's something a little magical behind the white Christmas.
Yeah. It goes back, a
little bit of
nostalgia.
childhood
stuff, yeah.
I feel nostalgic whenever I see it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't have it all.
No.
I would venture to say we've had the best December we've ever had in terms of weather.
Yeah. There was a couple really warm days, surprisingly warm days.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember, like a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, there was I was walking outside in a t-shirt, and I probably should have had a hoodie on, but I was comfortable in a t-shirt.
In the middle of December,
exactly.
Right around exam time, I can't even believe it here in St. John's. I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Intense. I'm just curious, how's your Christmas shopping going? Because we're a couple of days out. I personally have not started.
Yeah, no, I got a couple presents. I really hate shopping and going in stores knowing I got to buy someone a present, but I have one of my brothers a present, and I still got to get my dad's, my mom's, and my other brother.
Okay.
So I'm probably do that the last day, Wednesday or something like that.
I'll probably see you out there because I honestly haven't started at all. Speaking of presents and all of that, MUN partnered recently with Thrive, a community youth program, to give, I believe, underprivileged kids different types of, just necessities. Go Seahawks.ca for anyone that wants to find out the details. This all happened before our exam period, but I just want to, I like to say that because we don't have much news here over the holiday season, but I just want to say that was a success. And hopefully the Seahawks are continuing to do something like that in the future. But just continuing to spread the holiday cheer, especially in a time where everyone wants... It's always good, sharing is caring, but, I mean, let's be honest, who doesn't love getting gifts?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Right? And even for all of the variety of people that we have, it's important to get a little bit of something. So, like I said, though, folks, we don't have any news to report. It's Christmas time. We're all at home watching movies. Our athletes are still training away. Owen, you guys are still doing some training, yeah?
Yeah. We were supposed to. Normally we do a training camp like somewhere else down south. Normally we went to Barbados one year, Florida another year. Normally like if the coach normally has a plan for that in September, then we know in like September or October if we're going to go anywhere over Christmas. But it never worked out this year.
Okay.
So we're all staying home and training either at MUN or the Mount Pearl pool.
Yeah. Well, I know the basketball teams as well. They aren't going anywhere. They'll be here at home training away, and I believe I don't even think anyone's going anywhere, to be perfectly honest. I think volleyball might have somewhere to go. But the other teams that they'll be playing, they'll be doing something in the winter, are pretty much staying here at home. But hey, I mean, home is where the heart is. So
I don't know. I like going somewhere for Christmas break and training. I find like you have nothing else to worry about. School.
Yeah.
You're normally down somewhere pretty warm. Well, that's where we go for swimming.
Sure.
In a nice outdoor pool or something like that. In 30-degree weather, but I like it because there's nothing. You can focus on that. You know what I mean? You can focus on training. You can dive in head first, and
totally.
You normally leave in a lot better shape.
Yeah. Totally. And well, I mean, that's great. So, folks, we have again no news to report. So the way the show is going to run today, just to give you guys, these will be our headlines. We're going to speak with Owen after the break here until the halftime mark. All about getting to know him, all right? We're going to get to know the ins and outs of Owen Daly as a swimmer outside of swimming. And then we'll go to break once again, and then we'll come back, and we're going to talk Seahawks swimming. And that's about it. Don't have much to report. I wish I did because, I mean, it's fun. Got to keep everyone up to date. But during these holiday days, that's just how it goes. So we're going to go into a quick radio break here. Nothing to worry about. We're going to have a lot to talk about with Owen Daly. I have a lot of questions ready to go, and he's, itching to get them answered. So I'm not sure if that's the truth.
I don't know about that, yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
That's cool. All right, guys. Stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. This is 93.5 CHMR-FM. You're tuned into Varsity Life. Varsity Life. Oh my God, an ill reindeer. Oh, I gotta love Christmas and Hollis, guys. I can't. It's one of my favorite Christmas songs. Owen, we were just speaking about this. It's one of these classic ones, and you just got to feel about nostalgia around Christmas time.
Yeah. We were listening to we were at my friend's house the other night. We before we went out to an event, and we just had Christmas music the whole time.
Yeah,
it was nice.
I was playing Christmas music as early as exam time. Some people were before, like as soon as November, the end of November, they were starting.
Yeah, I pretty much like anything besides that Michael Bublé stuff. I can't stand Michael Bublé Christmas music.
It's crazy. It's just people get stir crazy when Christmas time comes around.
Yeah,
your inner, I don't know. You go into the mall and it's like the Hunger Games out there. Your inner, like, I don't have a word for what your inner, but your inner animal just comes out. Your soul monkey or whatever you want to say, like, just comes out.
Yeah, I like normally we go to a meet in Montreal towards Christmas time. We didn't go this year, but it's crazy to go downtown Montreal, like St. Catherine Street, St. Laurent.
Yeah.
And go into like whatever it is, the Eaton Center, but just like Christmas there, normally there's snow on the ground. And there's always decorations on St. Catherine Street. It's pretty cool to see. My team, we did that one year as well, so it was really, really cool. Yeah. One of my favorite Christmas trips I've ever done. Is, going to Montreal. Yeah, we always have a meet in Pointe Claire, which is just like a suburb outside of Montreal. It's like a 10-minute drive into Montreal. But yeah, we normally have a meet there, and like the last couple of days we'll try to make it down to downtown Montreal.
Yeah.
And when you do, it's pretty cool when it's like towards Christmas time downtown Montreal. It's crazy.
Totally.
Yeah.
But let's bring it back, Owen. Let's bring it back. I wanna get everyone a chance to know who you are. You're a rookie here on the Seahawks. You've been swimming for a very long time. You're a Gonzaga graduate, as myself.
Yeah.
So throwback to Gonzaga. Shout outs. I don't care about the haters.
Shout out Jerry Power. Yeah.
And I mean, let's. I just want to know. Ryan and I, we've been talking. We ask this to every single athlete that comes here. Generally, for most of these sports, most team sports, about 10, 11, we started taking it pretty seriously. Right. We talked to our wrestlers. He started a little bit later, 15. Ian James when he was on.
Right.
And I just want to know, swimming, when is it that you started, or typically people start swimming?
Yeah, normally it's like, I think it's like with any sport, really. I started swimming when I was, it's grade 3, so whatever that is. I think it was like 10, to be honest, 10 or 11 when I first got in the water. 3 and 5,
so that's 8.
Yeah, 8, okay, yeah, there you go. And like, yeah, I think it was grade 3 when I did my first tryout. That's normally the age for most people who stick with it. It's like a sport that you kind of got to be swimming for, 5+ years before you start getting competitive and really taking it seriously. Because the first couple of years were all about fundamentals, you know what I mean? Most people don't really know how to swim
competitively.
When they're like 8 or 9 years old. So the first couple of years you're on a swim team, it's really about coaches just teaching you fundamental stuff. Like, it's anything from technique, like all technique stuff, it's a lot of stuff. I can't really get into it, but yeah, first couple of years are pretty slow, not really taken seriously. You don't really go to competitions your first couple of years. And then I guess once you get into junior high and a junior high school, then it starts to get a little bit more intense.
Yeah. I can imagine just learning all the different types of strokes. I'm obviously not aware of all of them, but the first ones that come to mind for me, a breaststroke, a freestyle, back. What other strokes are there? Because I'm lost.
So there's 4 strokes: breaststroke, backstroke, freestyle, and butterfly.
I had 3 out of 4. Okay.
Yeah, you're close. And then there's you can do all those swims individually, whether it's like 200 back, 200 fly, 200 breast, whatever. But then there's there's also events, 100 IM, 200 IM, and 400 IM, which is also like medley, and that's a combination of all 4. Yeah.
Combination of all 4. IM, what does that stand for? Because I was looking at, and I don't know when I look at the results.
Yeah, so IM stands for individual medley.
Individual medley.
Yeah.
And like you said, you do all of them at once.
Yeah, so like, say for example, if it's 200 IM, you do 50 back, or you do 50 fly, 50 back, 50 breast, 50 free.
And it's always in that order.
Yeah. Unless you're doing the relay, and the relay is like, so if you're doing a relay with 4 different people, you start off with back, and then you go into breast, then you go into fly, and then you go into free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And in your personal opinion, which one is the hardest one? The hardest stroke to learn?
I think it depends on who you are. Like, normally when you're just starting off, so like 8 or 9 or 10 years old, you can normally, within those couple of years, you got room to wiggle around and figure out what you like and what you don't like. And, you know, it's different for everyone. Like, I caught on to freestyle and butterfly pretty quick. And, like, you know what I mean? Other people can catch on to breaststroke. It's, you know, you can kind of choose for yourself. That's what I mean by wiggle room. And then, yeah, once you pick a stroke or 2 strokes to kind of specialize in for the rest of your career, that's normally the way it works.
Yeah, because when I was looking down the record books, your records were mostly, at least in the open category, I didn't bother looking at the younger ones.
Yeah.
Freestyle, butterfly, for the short course and the long course. You have even an IM, a 200 IM here on the long course, you have a record in as well. But I mean, just speak to the difference between short course and long course, because I don't know the distances, but I assume it has to do with like the wall.
So basically the way short course and long course work, short course are from the months September to February, I believe, and then long course starts, like, when I say like short course, it's all competitions. So like if you're going to a competition within the months of September to February, it's going to be in short course meters. And that means that it's in 25 yards, like the length, or 25 meters, the lengths are in 25 meters. And then when you move into long course season, the length is in 50 meters.
Yeah.
So yeah, all Olympic competitions, if it helps, are long course.
Long course.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense because they're running down that same way. They don't get as many turns.
Exactly, yeah.
And I'm just looking down, you know, these numbers. It seems that short course has typically a faster time.
Yeah, that's because, like, short course is a little bit faster because you get more walls. Okay. The more walls, the better. It's, so if you get wall, like, you can kind of picture it. If you're getting that wall and that extra push, more momentum, it's going to be faster, but it's not by much. It's like, I think by the 50, you can kind of see with my times there, like 50 free, short course times like a 23.4, and then my long course times like a 23.77, I think.
Just like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's like, it's faster, but not that much.
Mm-hmm. Well, just to give everyone a bit of a bit of a picture. You say you specialize in the freestyle and the butterfly. You hold the records for the 50, the 100, the 200 on the short course. In the freestyle, the 50 fly and the 100 fly as well. Then the long course, the exact same ones, plus a 50-meter backstroke. Mm-hmm. And you have the 200 IM as well, which I'm sure you know, but for our listeners out there.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the short course for free time anymore. Someone stripped me from that last year, but I'm looking to get it back this year.
Yeah.
I have some weird records and some weird events that really, you know what I mean, that I don't really train, like that 50 backstroke. Yeah, the 50 long course. I probably shouldn't have gotten that, but I can haul some stuff out of my butt sometimes.
The good ones always can.
Yeah.
Relays. You have a couple relay races here as well. You guys have records. You and your guys, obviously, I know a couple of them. Speaking to Theron Goosney, I think Nick Hogan, he has one, and Harvey. But what's his first name? I can't remember. Adam Harvey. You guys have the 200 free. Freestyle relay.
That must be from Canada Games.
It must be. But the Seahawks, currently I'm looking, and this is one of the things I wanted to ask you. The Seahawks currently have the 50 freestyle relay race. They have the record. You're not on that team that had that record. That was back in 2010.
Right.
And then in 2009, they have the 400 medley relay. But I'm seeing you have these same ones in your previous events leading on up. Is that on your radar? Are you trying to get those this coming year?
Yeah, I think when we were at Dalhousie like 2 or 3 weeks ago, or 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were close in one of them. I think it was the 4x100 free.
Okay.
If I was to put money on it, I'd like to think that we'll get a couple of relay records in at AUS Champs or in PEI.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything you guys are doing for the university and for swimming in general in Newfoundland, I mean, you guys are putting it on the map. A bunch of frontier swimmers, I was about to say runners, swimmers out there and just, breaking records. I mean, it's amazing to me.
Yeah.
Really is.
The more, definitely, when records are broken, more light is shone on swimming, so it's better.
Yeah. you chose swimming, and you chose swimming fairly early on.
Yeah.
Was there anything else pulling your attention away from swimming? I'm talking maybe another sport, a different hobby, anything that you had to choose swimming over? I had to choose over swimming, or under swimming, whichever way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My first sport that I ever competed in was basketball. Do you remember, like, back when YMCA used to put on those Christmas camps and, like, that was my first sport I was in, and I loved basketball. I had a couple friends in it with me, Liam and Ian, and then I played basketball all through elementary school while swimming at the same time. And I guess once junior high hit, that's when I kind of had to make a decision whether it was basketball or swimming.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't really know how that worked. I really loved basketball, but I found that swimming, like in grade 8, I think it was, there was a couple guys older than me, and I could see them, like, they made their national cut, and I always used to look up to them. But I think the reason why I chose swimming was because, like, don't get me wrong, basketball was hard. Basketball was always challenging.
True.
But I liked the mental challenge to swimming, you know. I don't know. I found swimming mentally challenged me more than basketball.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just you and the water and the time.
Yeah.
And I know I went and seen you and a couple other friends. Shout out, go to Brandon and Curtis McKay, the boys. I've gone to see some swim meets. I was able to go and just watch, and it was so odd to me. You would have to time your cheering for whenever their head was coming out of the water.
Yeah.
Because underwater, obviously, you can't hear anything.
Yeah, you can't hear anything.
And to me, it was just so foreign, but it's just you.
Yeah.
And you have to somehow challenge yourself and keep pushing yourself. And it's not like running where you can take a quick glance around. I mean, you're underwater for a lot of that time. Is that how it goes? I mean, is it tough to see where your competition is?
Not actually, believe it or not, when you're swimming. I mean, if you're in lane 1 and you're trying to look over to lane 8, it's kind of hard. But if you're in, like, you know what I mean, normally if you're in a middle lane, you can kind of see what's going on around you throughout the race. But yeah, like, I guess the moment leading up to the race, whether it's a couple hours or a couple days, you do have to get in that zone. Same as any other sport, basketball, volleyball, whatever, track and field. You got to get in that zone. And I find, for me, the biggest thing is visualizing. Like, if that's what I do, and that's what helps me the most, is like going to bed at night, trying to run through my race, trying to run through what to do, what not to do. If something bad happens, like if, you know, for example, if my goggles fall off, how am I going to react to that? Like that's what I like to do, is visualize and picture it all.
Totally. And see, the cool thing to me about swimming is you guys compete as individuals, but yet there is a team aspect as well. We were talking about this on the show another time, a different time, and it was all about the fact that all of depending on your placement, it contributes to an overall score. And as a team, that's how you guys get better, and you want to build the team up. But yet it's all about you at the same time. Yeah. And I just couldn't wrap my head around it coming from a team sport where it's whatever you do is essentially negligible so long as the team is doing well. Yeah. And I know that you guys, I was looking here, you said you went to Dalhousie recently. You guys came 4th in the standings, and you know that's got to feel pretty good, eh?
Yeah, and for the amount of people we had there, I think it was 4th in men's, not 4th overall. I don't think the women did that well, only because there was 3 there. Yeah. And even for the men, I was surprised how well we did, because I think we had 6 there. Yeah, we had 6 there, and yeah, so like we didn't have a large team, and normally when the team's bigger, that gives you a better opportunity to get more points, which normally helps you win as a team, like overall. So that's why Dal normally always wins AUS or little small meets like invitationals like that, is because they have the ability, they have such a large team, and I guess they have more room to play with money and stuff like that. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, they normally, like, Dal normally wins invitationals and stuff like that just at the beginning of the year, just because their team is so large and they can afford to bring people places.
Totally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Yeah.
So you said you played basketball growing up. Was there anything else? Did hockey ever try and sway you?
My dad had me in hockey for a bit. Didn't really catch on to it. The two biggest ones for me were definitely basketball and swimming. I played soccer. Yeah, I was in hockey for a bit, not that long. Track and field. Yeah, those were the main ones. But yeah, basketball and swimming always grabbed my attention the most.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's tough to say? You have such a build that can really excel in either or. I mean, you're 6'3". I don't know how much you weigh, but you got a big frame. Do you ever think sometimes when things are going rough, maybe and you're swimming, do you ever ponder about maybe another sport? Because I've done it. I've been like, man, this is going really hard this past couple weeks. Maybe I would have been better doing this sport.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Do you or no?
Yeah, I do. But then, I kind of, whenever I have those moments, I kind of know to myself, it's a little bit too late to enter another sport at this point in my life. For example, if I was to go back and play basketball right now, I'd be so far behind. I considered doing it in high school, in grade 12 and grade 11. Yeah. But I just look at the guys, whoever it was, Sam Wood, Liam, Ian, and, their skills are so much better than mine than when I left in grade 9 or grade 10, whatever the hell it was. Mm-hmm. It'd just be so hard to keep up and come back and try to make a comeback. There wasn't really much point. Yeah,
totally different. Outside of swimming, you doing any other type of extracurricular stuff? Nowadays, I mean.
Yeah, you mean as far as exercise?
Maybe exercise, could be volunteering, anything.
Yeah.
For instance, I do this radio show.
Yeah. No, man, it's pretty much just school and swimming. It's pretty much just school and swimming. That's my two biggest priorities right now. It's I kind of laid low key for my first semester just so I could wrap my head around school and swimming, and I wanted to do good my first semester. So yeah, no, man, it's mostly swimming and swimming in school. Takes up the bulk of my time. Yeah.
Owen, would you believe that we're already 30 minutes past? And we have to go to break.
I know, it's crazy.
We like to go on little tangents here, but it's tough. I want to keep asking questions.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, we're gonna go quickly into a radio break. Don't touch that dial. We're gonna be talking Seahawks swimming with Owen Daly when we come back. This is 93.5 CHMR-FM, and you're tuned into Varsity Life, folks. Stay tuned, and we'll be back in a moment. 93.5 CHMR-FM. We're back 32 minutes past the hour on a frigid Monday morning. We're the only ones, we said it, we're the only ones here. CHMR is dead. Looking around here in the break, the lights are off. We had to turn the lights on here or else we'd fall asleep.
Yeah.
It's
too early.
It's very eerie.
Yeah.
You take a look around, and I mean, if anyone's ever heard about the ghost on the in the library, the guy who jumped off, there's an old urban myth that someone jumped off the top of the library.
Oh yeah.
If you never heard it, then you'll never hear about it.
Yeah.
But I've heard it, and someone told it to me in exquisite fashion. And every time I walk by, whenever there's no one around, I always get the creeps. I get the chills.
Yeah, I don't know. There's always find every school I go to, there's always a ghost thing. There was one in Gonzaga, the fourth floor was haunted.
Yeah.
There was one in McDonald Drive, but the one that I actually believe is Vanier. There's ghosts in Vanier.
Vanier Elementary?
Vanier Elementary School has ghosts.
Ooh. Story time for another time, because I'm going to get creeped out and I'm going to mess up the radio show. Can't be having that. We'll talk more after the break, after that. And by the break, I mean after the show. He's just going to tell me a little bit after, aren't you, Owen? We're not going to creep you guys out here. It's Christmas time. We don't need to be talking about Halloween stuff. Let's get back to it. I was reading an article, Owen. I don't know when I was reading this article. It may have been the summer. And I had thoughts that I was going to be doing this radio show.
Right.
And I started this, in October, Ryan and I. But I'm always saving articles that I feel like are applicable. And when I was reading this article, it talked about how swimming was the hardest sport.
Right.
Swimming was the hardest sport. And I have just a couple notes here, and I want to just sort of just use that as a promoter and stuff. It started off, it had a lot of different things, and essentially I just want to pick them off one by one, and I want to get your take on it. It says swimmers practice maybe 6 times a week, 6 days a week, maybe twice a week, twice in those days.
Yeah, so it's normally like if you're training like, you know what I mean, like I am normally at a varsity level, it's normally should be about 10 to 11 practices a week, yeah.
See, to me, that's ludicrous. 10 to 11 practices. What do you need to be doing for 10 to 11 practices?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
It seems like overkill as a team sport guy who we practice maybe 4 or 5 times a week and do a lot of individual work ourselves, right? But when I start to think about it, I feel like, damn, I'm actually doing this many practices, but it's just not scheduled, right? Because I have to come in and work on my game with my coach. I have to go into the weight room. You guys have to be in the pool anytime you want to train. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I see. And on top of that, it's not like it's one of these sports. There's a lot of ways you can cut corners in team sports. It's you guys, and pretty much the only rest you take are in between sets. Is that true? Yeah.
Like you mean in practice?
In practice, yes.
Yeah, so, normally you'll have a break after warm-up, a little couple-minute break after warm-up, and break after the main set, and then you have warm-down, and it's normally over. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in practice, it's not just in the pool either. There's dry land stuff as well. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so like you're normally in the pool, normally in the water 9 to 11 times a week when you're really taking swimming, when you're taking it seriously, or on like the top group. Mm-hmm. And then, I think like dry land we always used to do back when I was in high school. We always used to do 2 to 3 times dry land, like nothing crazy, just strength and like stability work. Mm-hmm. And then in high school, grade 11 and 12, I started hitting like the weights hard. I started going, like, got a global gym membership, and me and the boys would just go every day. Yeah. Push weights, and that really helped a lot. That really, I found that transferred over into the pool and definitely helped my performance in competitions. Yeah, just having that, like, that was my first time I ever seriously started to push weights and work hard in the weight room, and I found it was like it did huge things for me in the pool.
Absolutely. I know. Anytime you throw in weights when it's done properly and applicable to what you're doing, it's only benefits. Yeah. Now, you always run the risk of injury, but that's when you're not doing it properly and you don't have advice, or no one's tending to you. So I can see that. Yeah. As well, I'm just trying to paint the picture of how swimming could be the toughest sport. And you have to do 2 times a day. That means every single morning, pretty much, you have a morning practice, right?
Yeah, so normally every single morning. You might have 2 off throughout the week. Normally Sunday is just your rest day, so you don't have any practices, nothing in the weight room. And then they might throw in like a morning off, like Tuesday, Wednesday, or something like that.
Yeah. It's got to be tough because you do that in the morning, you probably go to school all day, you do another one in the evening, and by the time you get around to homework, I mean, you must be just exhausted.
When you're doing it like that, like once again, when you're training with one of the top groups or at a varsity level, when you're doing double days, when you start to go into double days, you're constantly hungry, constantly tired. Don't want to go near a pool
ever.
It's tough. Yeah, no, it's once you really start training and really start taking it seriously, you got to make some sacrifices because it's just a type of training that it doesn't go hand in hand with a lot of things. I can't stay out late. Mm-hmm. You got to make sure you get enough sleep. Yeah. Once again, you're constantly hungry. Yeah, so like I found when I was in high school and even junior high, first couple periods for me was just like nap time. I was always groggy. Yeah, and then once the day progressed, I would wake up a bit and then I'd do my other practice. But yeah, when I'm training, like even when I'm training now, I'm so tired by the end of the day, I'll go to bed at like 7, 6. Yeah, I've been like, I remember back in high school, grade 11, I'd go to bed at like 6, 7 in the night because I knew I had to wake up at 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd be that tired that as soon as my head hit the pillow, I was gone.
Conked out.
Yeah.
That, to me, as the social butterfly that I like to try to be, I can imagine that could put a lot of strain on a lot of relationships that you have and miss out on a lot of things that your friends are involved in. But not just that, just a lot of other things in general. It seems like when you're dialed in for swimming, I mean, you're all in.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you're training at the top level, it's hard to balance going out and you know what I mean, staying out late and doing reckless stuff. But I took off last summer. I was training last summer, but a couple summers ago I took off, and just because I was so tired with it and I knew I needed a little break, so I took off all this summer, worked with my friend's dad, and I found that was a great break. Like I could sleep into whenever I wanted. I didn't have to worry about practicing. And but like I found when I took that break and I wasn't training for like 3 or 4 months, I missed it the first week. Like the first week was great. I had off. It was the most relaxing thing in the world. And then woke up one morning and I was like, you know what I mean? I had too much energy. I had way too much energy for my liking, and I knew I needed to go back to swimming, but I probably won't ever take a summer off again like that.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I can imagine once you fall into a routine and you stray away from it, you're
it's weird, man.
For it.
Yeah, it's weird. Exactly.
You would think that, a relaxing time is welcomed, but you actually become restless, and the one thing that you want to do is just to get back to the grind.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not even I think like when you're really doing it, you might have that bad practice where like you just want to stop for a week or stop for 2 weeks. But swimming isn't the type of sport where you can do that. Like, you can't just take off a week or 2 weeks. That's why we're constantly training. Like the season starts in September. Then if you make your national cut, which most people do, you go right into July. So you really only have, if you're swimming full tilt, you really only have a month and a half to yourself off, and then it's back again in September doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's strenuous, but yeah, like I found when I took that break a couple summers ago, it was weird. It was, the first week was awesome, but then I was like, wow, I really miss waking up at 5 a.m., which sounds really weird, but yeah, once you get into that routine, you've been doing it for so long, I think that's all you know.
Yeah.
And as much as like I said, like as much sometimes as you think you might be sick of it, the people who really stick with it really get a certain fulfillment out of it and enjoyment. Same as any sport, I'm sure. If you're competing at the top level, you've got to have some type of passion for it and love for it.
And university sport, we talked about with other people on this radio show. It's included into the elite level of athletics in general.
Right.
All across the board. The difference is how long have you been doing it? This is the beginning of your elite level. Maybe you go on to some sort of professional, which is even more elite, but it's just because you've been doing it for longer.
Yeah.
She concluded this article in saying that swimmers, and this spoke to me a lot, swimmers, every single time that they run, that they go in and they hit the pool, it's almost all or nothing. You're just trying to better yourself and grab that next personal best time as often or as soon as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Every single time has to be going all out. The thing that resonated with me was I can go in and have a crap day as a basketball player, but we can still get the win. So it's sort of like a false sense of security. Do you want to just speak on the mental pressure that you feel every time you step into the pool?
Yeah.
For that reason.
Exactly. So like, I guess team sports like basketball and volleyball, if you're having a crappy game or you're not on point, you can always fall back on your teammates to kind of, whether it's you want to win the game or something like that. But with swimming, when you're on the block and you're about to dive in, it's really like, you got to depend on yourself a lot more. You have no one to fall back on. So I guess when you're waking up at 5 a.m. to go to practice in the morning, there's not much point of waking up and getting out of bed if you don't, you know what I mean? If you don't really want to be there, or if you know that you're going to have a crappy practice. Normally 9 chances out of 10, if I wake up in the morning and I know that I'm not going to work as hard as I should be, then there's really no point of me going, because it's not going to benefit me in any way, shape, or form, you know.
The sleep would probably benefit you better.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so the thing with swimming is, you have no one to fall back on when you're on those blocks. You're representing yourself as well as your team a little bit, but most of all, you're doing it for yourself. And yeah, I guess that's whereas if the training part comes in, if you're half-assing in practice for a couple months, 9 chances out of 10 you will not touch your personal best time or go best times at all.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a sport where if you want to better yourself in the sport, you really gotta push every practice. Every practice has to be better than the next one, and yeah, it's tough in that way. But I don't know if it's the hardest sport. I'd like to think
one of maybe.
Yeah, one of the hardest sports. It's I think every sport's hard. Depends on who you are, how hard you work. I just think it's the point where you bring the how hard you work. You know what I mean? I just think it's all about your work ethic and how bad you want it. I know cycling's pretty hard, triathlon, all that stuff. That's mentally draining. But yeah, I just think I don't think it's fair to say it's the hardest sport. I think it all depends on the athlete and how far they push themselves.
Very well said.
Yeah.
I gotta say that was a very well and concise answer.
Yeah.
It is just one lady's opinion.
Yeah.
It's from the University of Alabama.
Right.
But I mean, to me, she struck a lot of good points, and I felt I'd love to get your opinion on them.
Yeah. No. Like I think it's definitely up there for mental toughness, because once again, you don't have that team to fall back on to pick you up when you're doing a crappy race. You're in the water when you're swimming an individual race, and it's all you. It's no one else. Mm-hmm. Your teammates can cheer for you as much as you want, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the race,
they literally can't drag you.
They can't
further,
exactly. Yeah. At the end of the race, it's all you. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely a mentally tough sport to be in. But training wise, I think that any sport, any athlete, it just depends on the athlete and how hard they want to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tell me how, as an individual sport, do you guys support each other? Because you said other than cheering, there's not much they can do, but yet you still go to the same practice time, yet you go and you deal with the same adversity. Speak on that and how that works in individual sports compared to team.
Yeah, so normally when in practice, if say for example, if someone around me is having a bad practice or if I'm having a bad practice, I guess it works the same as any sport, basketball or anything like that. You can kind of see if you can kind of notice your teammate is having a bad practice, so you just give him a little pick-me-up, give him a little pat on the back, and say whatever it takes to help him get him through that practice.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, that's right. That's all across the board. It seems to be a pretty universal sort of just a way of going about things.
Right.
I want to know, as a rookie, you come in here, you have a lot of high expectations. You've been at the frontier of Newfoundland swimming for years, growing on up. You have a Canada Games medal to your name, which is fantastic for our province as well as for you, obviously. But how do you come into a team like the Seahawks and try and establish yourself? How do you come in as a rookie and just establish yourself as one of the top guns? Because I know, obviously, the way that you speak with the mentality that you have, there has to be some sort of end goal.
Yeah. So, basically my goals I like to take it like a year. I don't like to look at the bigger picture. I find that kind of shags me up. I like to take it a year at a time. And pretty much at the beginning of every year, I write down 5 goals for myself. And I guess the biggest ones for this year is I'd like to get at least a medal at CIs. I'd like to get all golds at AUS champs. And next year is the big year because that's the Olympic trials year. And it's always been in the back of my mind. I'm at the prime age now for Olympic trials next year. I was a little bit young 4 years ago.
Okay.
And I do have a chance at making an A final or something like that in 100 fly, 100 free, but I still have a ways to go. I still have a lot of training to do to get to that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
As an individual, I've done individual sports, particularly track and field, and I've had a specific coach to me.
Yeah.
And I just don't know. I know the situation here at the Seahawks has been a little bit up in the air. This, I believe, is the third coach within a year and a half's time.
Yeah.
How do you, as an athlete who has a lot of just high aspirations for himself, deal with that type of adversity at the coaching level?
Yeah. The coaching thing has been a bit shaky recently. Brad Hutton, who was here for, I think he came in 06, I think 07, something like that. Maybe it was 06, yeah. So Brad was here. He came here from BC, I think. He came in. He was my coach for like the bulk of my career. So for the majority of my career, Brad was my coach. Brad brought me up from like grade 7 right up to grade 12.
Wow.
He was with me for 6 years. So Brad knew me best, and Brad definitely has some type, like, you know, he has, I really do, I give him credit for where I'm at right now, because he's the one that kind of held my hand, and, you know, when I was being dumb, he was the one that kind of put up with all my crap, but still, he was a great coach. Anyways, Brad left after, I think he was here for 6 or 7 years. He left, which was a big blow to the team. You know, he had a great relationship with a lot of people on the MUN team and Legends team, and he did a lot of good things for both teams. So he left on a really good note, and we all knew when he left that it was going to be tough to get used to a new coach. But Brad made sure, I think, when he left, that he was part of the hiring process in some way. So he kind of helped the Legends board and the MUN board. Like, I think he might have looked over the resumes and made the decision with them and who to pick, who not to pick. Yeah. And anyways, so when Brad left, they picked up a guy named Aaron Dowell. And Aaron came from a club called Island Swimming, which was in Victoria. So Island Swimming's, it's a pretty big
BC guy.
Yeah. It's Island Swimming's a pretty like sweet swim club in Canada.
Prestigious.
Yeah. Okay. Like I think Aaron put a couple guys through the Olympic system, like Alec Page, Blake Worsley, and then Aaron ended up stopping, and they had to hire a girl, and it was a pretty pressured hiring process, just because they didn't have a lot of time to work with. They had to get a new girl for September, and it was like April or something at this point. And I don't think Aaron was part of the hiring process like Brad was, to kind of like, you know what I mean, pick a good coach. So the thing with Newfoundland Swimming is it was great that Brad could kind of help pick up Aaron and kind of talk to Aaron and let him know how Newfoundland Swimming works, because it doesn't work like, the thing with Newfoundland Swimming is it doesn't work like Ontario Swimming or BC Swimming or Alberta Swimming. It's a different feel to it. You got to understand, you got to be really patient with the swimmers here.
What's the difference?
It's just not at the same level. Like, you got to be patient. You can't, you're like, you know what I mean? The swimming population isn't as high as places like Ontario, Alberta, BC. Okay. It's just, there's not as much swimmers. There's not as much, once again,
just a pool from which to choose from.
Okay. There's not much to work with here. So you really got to take what you can get and work with that. So once again, you just really have to be patient with it. So Aaron wasn't part of the hiring process when the Legends and MUN hired their coach, and I think she's just like, she's a good coach and all, but I think she's just taking a little bit more time to kind of, you know what I mean, get a feel for it than Aaron did, because Aaron had Brad to tell him exactly what was on the go.
Tough situation.
She's in a tough situation, so she's just kind of, because she came from Ontario, right, and that's such a high performance province with swimming. They have a lot of good swimmers there. So I think she's just taken a little bit longer than Aaron and Brad did to kind of get used to Newfoundland Swimming and to get used to the way things work here.
She's from a different system. She's in a position where it seems the norm isn't the same. The status quo isn't on the same level. I can imagine how that could be a challenging process.
It's kind of hard too. Like, she has to juggle MUN and the Legends, And
Can I interject real quick? You've been saying MUN and Legends. The Legends, that's a swim team at the Arena, right?
Yeah, that's St. John's home team, my club team.
So what? I don't understand. Is it the one coach for the two teams?
Yeah. So
Really?
so that's the way it's been for like the last 10 years. Brad did it and Aaron did it, and yeah, it's as long as I can remember, that's the way it's always been. So the Legends actually. So the coach who coaches Legends a month, I think the bulk of their money, the bulk of their salary comes from the Legends, coaching the Legends.
Okay.
And they get like an additional little bit for coaching MUN, not nearly as much as for coaching Legends. So I think when Lucy came in this year, she figured she has been paying like way more attention to the Legends than focusing on the varsity guys, which has taken its toll on us as a team. Mm-hmm. Things are getting better now, but yeah, like I think her main priority is the Legends, which I can understand. But with her focusing so much on the Legends, the varsity team hasn't gotten the support or attention we've needed, and we've been asking to get. So like it's getting better now. I know we were in a tough situation for a little bit. But yeah, we're just taking it one step by step, and I ended up, just to get a breath of fresh air and kind of process it all. I'm gonna train with Mount Pearl at their new facility over Christmas.
Cool.
I know a couple other people are with me, and we're just gonna get a feel for it, and we just at the end of the day, we just all want to be ready for that next meet coming up.
That's at the end of the day. That's the only thing that really matters, right?
Exactly, and I'll personally do whatever it takes. And if that means I have to go out and drive an extra 15 minutes to Mount Pearl with Chris Roberts and Duffy, then so be it. I don't really mind. But I'm happy the way things are going now with everything. So
cool. Yeah. I can imagine a lot of growing pains. A rushed hiring process.
Yeah.
And you got to give it to the woman too. I don't know her. I have no idea.
Of course.
But she's put in a situation where she has to. It's high pressure and she has to make a decision. So
yeah, there's definitely a lot on her plate. Yeah.
I always try to look at things equally from both sides. So I appreciate the point of view. I appreciate the insight, and I hope that we don't sound too biased, because I know she has to deal with a lot of stuff as well.
Of course,
and
yeah.
I'm sure we don't know the entire story anyway. So
yeah.
Maybe you do, I don't, and I feel like this is a great time to move on to the next subject. But all the same, very good. So when is your next meet? Because you spoke, you just want to be ready for the next meet. When is it?
The next meet is just after Christmas. I think it's end of January, and that will be in PEI.
In PEI, and that's AUS, or is that just an invitational?
It's another invitational. I think there was supposed to be 3 invitationals this year. There was one in Acadia in October, which we couldn't make. Then there was the Dalhousie one. Then there's the PEI one. I think we're done with invitationals after that. Then we go into AUS champs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure, folks, it'll be on AUSTV.ca, which is, I'm sure the broadcasting.
It's on ESPN this year. It's. I think there will be internet
Yeah.
browsing.
All I want to say is we'll talk to you when the time comes, and you'll let me know, and we'll get that information out on the Facebook page.
Right.
Because we want to keep everyone informed. I want as many swimming possibilities for people to watch and get aware as they possibly can.
Right.
Are you doing anything here at home? Is there any type of event where local fans can come in and see Owen Daly and the Seahawks swim?
No, there's not going to be any meets here this year for Seahawks. We actually hosted AUS champs last year.
Yes.
For the first time, and I don't know, it was like several years or something like that. That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. I was volunteering. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was the first time we had it in like a couple of years. The tough thing is, I think the problem is for other teams to get here, like just the cost, since we're on an island, and when like it's in somewhere like Dalhousie, all those universities that are nearby can get there through bus, and it's a lot cheaper.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's not it's not the fact that we don't have a good pool to compete in, because the Arena is fine. It's just I think it's the cost of all the other teams getting here. It's a little bit expensive for them.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm sure we'll have it again in a couple of years. But it's normally at Dow. It's normally at Dow. Yeah.
Yeah. For basketball, for instance, in the men's version as well, it's in the Halifax.
Dowplex or
no, not the Dowplex. It's the one where the Rainmen basketball team plays, the ABA team.
Okay.
Or and the NBA. No. The Canadian basketball.
Yeah. I know what it is. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so there's the big stadium down there. Yeah, so it's never here. The only times that people can see is when we play at home.
Yeah.
So different little take. That's unfortunate, but AUSTV.ca folks will post it on our Facebook page when the time does come.
Mm-hmm.
Owen, we're running out of time, my man. I'd like, if you have any sort of last words that you'd like to say, maybe speak how does someone in university can get involved in swimming. Tell them how we can do that.
Yeah, so if you want to get involved with the team, there's tryouts every September. If you want to get in touch with the coach, her email's on the website, the athletic website. If you want to fire off any questions, yeah, it's basically it. If I'm on swimming. Best team in Canada, yeah.
Awesome. Well, folks, it's been a fantastic pleasure having Owen in here in the studio. I'm glad you could join us. We're on every single Monday and Friday, 10 a.m. On CHMR.ca as well as 93.5 on the radio. You can catch us on the line, channel 825 and cable 942. That's right. You can be in your living room, Owen, and you can toss on the TV and take a listen. I gotta say, have a fantastic week. Get your last minute Christmas shopping done. Tis the season to be jolly and get your commercial shopping done. Owen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm. And stay tuned next week at Friday, where we'll be having a wrestler on.
Okay,
he's going to come on Boxing Day.
Okay, cool.
Which is very, very big of him. We'll have that on our Facebook page, and that's that.
Awesome.
All right, Owen. Thanks a lot. Folks, have a great week. Enjoy your Christmas. A little bit of Mad Lib to finish it out. 93.5 CHMR-FM. You're tuned into Varsity Life.